Hey everybody, Jake here from Bearded Gear, and I have a package to open. This is from Enrique Peña Knives, and this is the newest release, at least that I'm aware of, from him, but it's not a knife. I've grown to be very fond of Enrique Peña's knives. I've owned a couple of the X series ones, never one of his customs, but even right now at this moment, I have the Swayback Large. My full review will be coming real soon on this guy. And then I also have the Apache. These are both front flipper X series models, and I love these knives. They're fantastic, truly excellent, and both of them are some of my favorites. I've also had the Moolah. I think that's it for now, but I'll probably have more as time goes on. I like his knives, especially these React built ones. They're kind of right in my sweet spot of incredible quality for the price and using great materials. And anyway, so this is not a knife. This is a pry bar. And you might be saying to yourself, if you're familiar with my channel, Jake, you don't really like pry bars all that much now, do you? You'd be correct. I'm not the biggest fan of pry bars. It's not that I don't like them or that I dislike them. It's just that I don't personally have all that much use for them. I've done a carry challenge with the Lynch Northwest All Access Pass. I've done a review, and I keep in my fanny pack the Vero Fulcrum Mini. That one is kind of a multi-tool though, which is part of why I think it's lasted so long. And then I have another pry bar that I've been carrying a little bit to get ready to do my full review on soon, and that's coming. That one's from, I think, Vulcan is what it's called. But I just, genuinely, for me, I don't have that many, reasons to use a pry bar pop up in my life normally. I'm not opening paint cans, ever. I'm not, pulling screws or nails out of things. Not prying stuff open in general all that much. I cut things a lot. I use knives multiple times a day, every day. Part of that is because I've gotten so used to using them that I think I subconsciously am looking for reasons to use them all the time. But I do. I use my knives a lot. Even when I've carried a pry bar in my pocket for days in a row, it's been difficult for me to find a reason to use one. So anyway, all of that said, I'm still pry bar curious. I still like the idea of them, and I think they're cool, and part of me thinks, if I just find the one that really clicks for me, then maybe it'll happen and I'll forever carry a pry bar. I don't know that that's going to happen, but I'm open to it. So this comes in a pretty typical looking Peña X Series box. It's definitely smaller though than the ones that the knives come in, according to my memory, if it serves me correctly. So you've got this sleeve that pops off, and then boom, Peña's name again. Then we've got this magnetic kind of front clasp thing, and it opens up to reveal silica gel and foam. And under the foam, we have a pry bar. It's real, guys. It's in here. I didn't get catfished. This is the first pry bar I think that Enrique Peña has done. I'm not aware of any others from him. And there's a couple reasons why this stuck out to me and got me to pull the trigger and buy it, right? First was FOMO. That happens with a lot of purchases. I saw that it was live and that it was a new thing, and I was like, man, if I don't get one, maybe I'll miss out forever. So that was part of it. Another part of it was almost all pry bars that I'm aware of on the market up to now are in titanium for some reason. The Vero one that I carry is in titanium. The Lynch ones are in titanium. That Vulcan one that I'm working on reviewing is titanium. Most, it seems to me, are in titanium. Now and then you see some in brass. Even at Vero, he does some in brass, or he has done some. He's done some in Timascus, which to me makes even less sense than titanium. They're just it doesn't seem to me, for an object that is designed to do a pretty brutal use of prying things open, titanium is necessarily the best choice. It doesn't click for me. Based on my understanding of titanium as a material, it doesn't seem like it would be the best. So these are done in M390, which I think is pretty cool. It's marked M390 right there. These are built by Riet, of course. They're part of his X series line. So M390 to me seems like it makes way more sense for the use case than titanium does, or brass, or like this seems to make more sense. Now, what I think would make the most sense would be a steel like Crewware or 3V, like a ultra toughness focused steel. I think would make a lot of sense for a pry bar. And I think based on some conversations I've been having with my buddy Chris over at Cerberus, he has one in the works that I think is going to be in a steel like that, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, this one's M390, which I think is a step in the right direction compared to titanium. Maybe I'm missing something, and that's totally fair. I don't fancy myself to be the expert of pry bars and what are necessarily the best materials for them. I'm just kind of coming to my own conclusions here. But if I'm missing something, and titanium is actually for some reason a really good material to use on a pry bar, let me know. Seriously, comment down below. I'd genuinely be curious to hear if there are some reasons. The best I've heard so far that I can recall is for cost of machining them, titanium is much easier to machine, maybe. I feel like I've heard someone say that. And to me, I don't know. I don't really like that excuse in making knives and pry bars, like things of this nature. It's like makers claiming that they use an inferior steel for a blade because it's easier to make doesn't appeal to me, especially on expensive knives. Just throwing that out there. But this was, I want to say, shipped to me. I don't remember if there was tax or not. I paid like $75, which is less than a lot of the titanium ones. Most of the titanium ones. So apparently Riet is able to machine this pretty cost effectively. It's also got an insert made of micarta, which is pretty rad. It's got a pocket clip, which in my head it was titanium, but now I'm wondering if it's steel because this whole thing is steel anyways. It kind of looks like it might be titanium. I don't know. I'll have to find that out. But I've got a pocket clip on it. You can see that it's got the Peña lettering all over there. It does have a bottle opener over here. I don't open a ton of bottles, but if it happens while this is on me, then I'll use it. Great. It does have a bit driver kind of here. I find that these are pretty ineffective, and Kevin, Left EDC, got one of these as well, and he was like, if you put it on a bit, the bit just slides through it. So I guess maybe if you like set a bit down into what you're about to need to turn, and then you put this over it to just torque, maybe. But compared to like the Vero Fulcrum bit drivers, which are also pry bars, this is nowhere near. I already know. There's no illusion in my mind that this could be as effective as a bit driver as the ones that are built into the Vero pry bars, the Fulcrum Mini or the regular Fulcrum. Those are just like designed to be pry bars that happen to have, or designed to be bit drivers that have a pry bar on them, really. This seems like it just has that because it could come in handy, I guess. Or maybe you come upon just the right size nut somewhere that needs to be tightened. I don't know. But it's got the bottle opener. It's got that thing. And then right next to that, you've got a little flathead screwdriver thing. So you can tighten some flatheads there if this is too big to get into the flathead slot. I don't know. This micarta, I opted for the natural micarta. There was also OD green, and then there were some of these with, I think they were Timascus or Mokume inserts. Those were much more expensive, and I don't know. To me, a pry bar seems like a weird thing to dress up in like a pretty way. Like Timascus pry bars and things like that just make no sense to me. I can see it on like a full dress knife or something, maybe, because some people don't even hard use their knives, and you could make a contention that if you decided to use a full dress knife for like cutting boxes open and stuff, it should still be fine. Like you're not going to damage it in that way. But a pry bar is just such like a brutal tool. You know, it's just something you're supposed to wedge into things and pry them open. Like I don't get the fancy materials thing on these, but I get some people just like those materials, so fair is fair. That they're allowed to like them. Yeah, this thing's covered in jimping too, which I would prefer for it not to be, but anyway. I guess this is kind of my unboxing and first impressions. I don't think it would make all that much sense for me to do a designated first impressions video on this thing, but I'll do a full review on it ultimately at some point. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. But it's another pry bar for me to try. This one does have a pocket clip that should function fairly well, I assume. And it's a pretty decent smallish size, so I can toss this in a pocket or in my fanny pack or whatever and just put it through some paces. It does feel heavier than titanium ones do, just based on my hand scale here right out of the box. But I don't necessarily mind that. It's a pry bar. It's supposed to, like, this makes so much more sense to me than titanium. Open to being wrong here, but why titanium on pry bars? This seems to make more sense. Just saying. Make even more sense with Crewware 3V, something like that. I don't know. Maybe even like LC200N. Because it's a decently tough steel, and it would never corrode. That would be kind of cool. I don't know. Maybe for prying clams open. That would make sense. There you go. You're welcome, somebody who's trying to design a pry bar. Make one that is designed to pry clams open, and it's made of LC200N. I'm an idiot, guys. Sorry. So here it is. This is the Peña pry bar. What's interesting, too, sorry, last thing. This is designed by Javi Garcia. I didn't know that Enrique Peña collaborated with other designers within his own line, but that's interesting to me. Just a tidbit there. It's got his signature on there of the designer, but this is a Peña product made in the Peña X Series line. The more you know. Thanks, guys. It's getting late. Sorry, this was probably a super weird one, but it's here. I opened it. We'll see you on the next one.